What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox, and today we're talking AFC East with my guy, Jake Brown of the New York Post, co-host of the Amazing But True pod, as well as Gangs All Here, which is the Jets podcast, both with the New York Post. Jake, thank you so much for joining us today. How you doing?
Started at chicken parm, now we here. I think that's what Jake
Yes.
said one time. Good to catch up with you. You look like you just got off the beach. I was in the sun the other day, so I have some color, but you have taken it to another level.
Well, I will say you look more tropical than me in terms of attire, and I must say this is a spray tan. This is cheating. I was in a wedding last weekend, and so I was like, I gotta, strapless gown. Got to do a little something here, but it's sticking and it looks good. So I appreciate you noticing that.
Yeah, well, you could try this shirt if you ever need it. You know, a little thrift shop special. My favorite thrift shop actually closed down, so I'm still in grieving, but it's all good.
Where do you live? Do you live in Jersey?
Astoria, Queens.
Oh, Astoria, Queens. Because there's one thrift shop in Jersey that I really like. I'll have to send you the information of. All right, so we're going to get into football, but you do host the Amazing But True podcast with the New York Post. I got to ask you about the Mets.
Ugh, why'd you do it?
What's going on?
Why'd you have to do it? I mean, it's just
quick
I have
synopsis.
a white towel just like the Mets. I'm throwing the towel in just like the Mets have. So we're all on the same page.
I mean, scale from 1 to 10, how disappointed are you in the season? I mean, the most expensive team in baseball. Verlander, here, gone.
1 to 10, we're at a 99. I mean, this team is supposed to win a World Series, and they're a game up for last place. I mean, the fact that the Nationals are fighting them for fourth place is an embarrassment. So that's why I'm here to talk Jets football and transition. I'm used to transitioning in August, but I was not expecting it this year, last year, any of the past years. But this year, the highest expectations, the lowest finish. So now we're transitioning to football. So hopefully, I never thought I'd be praying for Jets football to be back, but this is the first year. It's true.
And by the way, high expectations for the Jets this year too. Maybe not as much as the Mets, but let's go ahead and get into it. And let's start with the odds to win the AFC East. So the Bills are the favorite to win their fourth straight division title, plus 125, followed by your Jets at plus 250, then Miami at plus 300. And then the Patriots, oh, how the mighty have fallen at the very bottom, plus 800. So who was your bet to win the division? Do you think that with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets can, I mean, look, I like the value at plus 250, but is that something you'd actually put your money on first year with Rodgers?
Yeah, for the value, it's worth putting a few shekels on. But if I'm going to be realistic here, what the Bills have done the last few years, I mean, that point differential is scary. I mean, plus 169 is off the charts. You know, they won the division by more games than anyone else, 4.5. I mean, it was a train wreck. So it's hard for me to see them regress. They're bringing back pretty much the same team. Obviously, Singletary not there, but still a good running back, and Cook, who's getting rave reviews in training camp. So it's hard for me to pick against the Bills. The homer in me for that value at plus 250 wants to take the Jets, but it's also a Jets team, and you could say this about a lot of teams, that a few injuries changes everything, obviously to Rodgers, but the offensive line, you lose a guy. They don't have a ton of depth on the offensive line to hold Rodgers up, which worries me a little bit. Breece Hall's coming off the ACL, which is a little bit scary in the backfield. So I'm going to take the Bills to win this division at that plus 125. I got to go with Buffalo once again.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And look, I'm pretty high on the Jets this year. I'm sure you watched the Hall of Fame game when Aaron Rodgers had the headset on, and he was talking. He just felt like a leader, and he seems happy, and he was saying all the right things. And I love New York Aaron Rodgers, and I hope that this happiness Taylor Swift vibes continues for him. But I also think that Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets is actually great for the Bills because it takes a little bit of pressure off of them. Like, I don't think the Bills should be plus money here. I almost think the Bills should be minus 120. But because everybody's looking at the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, all of a sudden we can get the Bills to win their fourth straight division title at plus money. And it's like I look at the rest of the competition, and I do think that they're still leaps and bounds better, and you've kind of already alluded to this. Tua is still a huge question mark. That value at plus 300 on Miami is interesting, but Tua gets one more concussion, and he may never play football again, and I know that he's out to prove that he's not that fragile, and I don't necessarily think that he's fragile. I think he needs some better protection there, and the Jets are the sexy pick, and I like them, and I like the value, but it's still a little bit unproven. Like you said, a couple injuries could go a wrong way for them, but doesn't it kind of feel to you like in the eyes of the media and the public that the Bills are kind of underdogs here and like the Jets are the one that everybody's, and I feel like that's good for them because the pressure has been on the Bills for the last few years and they've fought. I mean, I have personally been victimized by betting them to win the Super Bowl 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I think they're not getting as much love as they should, but like you said, a lot of it's going to the Jets, and you got to look at it like, they lost a game to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers last year. Now
Yeah.
you got four tough divisional games, two Dolphins, two Jets. It's crazy to think that the Patriots are like, yes, finally we get the Patriots on the schedule. We're not used to that in our whole football fandom, in our whole lives. We're not used to that. So
Yeah.
those are the two cakewalk games for them. But I think they're looking at it like this: a different backfield. The game plan might change a little bit. The other team's defense have gotten better in the division. But I think they got to get more love than this. Josh Allen
Yeah.
has had trouble sometimes when he gets dangerous down the field and he throws a
Yeah.
pick. But other than that, this guy's going to run for maybe double digit touchdowns. He's going to, play action with the best of them. So I don't think they're getting enough love. But again, it's a three-team race. That's why
Yeah.
there's still a chance
Yeah.
two others could win it. If the Jets weren't the same team, if Tua wasn't healthy, this would be different. But I think at plus 125, you got to maybe not throw the mortgage on them, but
No.
throw a decent amount.
Yeah, yeah, at least throw a unit down on that, and I agree with you 100%. So let's look at some of these win totals now, and let's start at the bottom with the New England Patriots. There was a time where this team won 11 straight division titles, and now they don't have a prayer of winning the division title this year. Their line set to 7.5, that under juice to minus 130. 8 wins will get you plus 110. How are you betting the Pats this year?
This one is tough, but I got to go with the under here. I just
Yeah,
think the Patriots, you have no idea what you're getting at a quarterback. I know they're talking about Mac is the clear cut favorite here, but at some point we may see Bailey Zappi. I mean, what's going to
yeah,
happen at quarterback is the big question. And, you look at their schedule here, and it's not easy. 6 games against those three tough
oof,
divisional teams, and then they
yes,
have 5 against other playoff teams. That's 11 tough games. You figure maybe
yeah,
they win 3 of those, but that's already 8 losses, and then they're going to lose to some non-playoff teams, and some of those
yeah,
non-playoff teams you play get better. Like Denver is not going to be the same, circus show, I don't think, as they were last year under Nathaniel Hackett, who now is with the Jets as our offensive coordinator. So those non-playoff teams are going to get better. So it's hard to like really dissect the schedule too much. But
yeah.
again, that's 11 games against tough teams, and I don't see any improvements from the Patriots that are going to, get me over the hump. So there's not much value in the over here. I think it's going to be close, though. I think it will be around 7. So they
Yeah.
got the number probably right, but I'll take the under 7.5 at minus 130.
I agree with everything you just said. I do think that this division in particular is really hard to handicap because I think the lines are really sharp. I feel like Vegas is just right on the money with a lot of these, but you already alluded to it. The AFC East is just brutal this year, and that's just in the division. But every team in the AFC East also has to face every team in the NFC East, which is a gauntlet as well, and then the AFC West. I mean, this is the toughest schedule in all of football. And if you look at the Patriots, they got to see the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles on top of everyone already in their division. Apparently, they have the toughest schedule according to the NFL right now. And like you said, 9 of their 17 games are against teams that made the playoff last year, 4 teams that won double digits last year. And yes, I do think that the Patriots should improve offensively now that they don't have like a defensive coordinator calling all of their plays. Like, I hope that that gets better. But I do think that there's too many holes. I lean under on this as well. You can't count Bill Belichick out, specifically on the defense. I think that they can keep these games closer, but wins, I just don't see a lot coming their way. So I agree with you on that one. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins. This win total is high, 9.5. That underjuiced slightly to minus 115. A lot of question marks here, Jake, with Tua's health, but he seems really determined to show that he's not fragile. Do you think that they've made enough adjustments to keep him protected this year? Do you think Miami is a 10-win team?
This is the toughest one in the entire division by far, just because
Yeah.
we're looking to is, every time he gets hit, you're scared for your life. and that's a
Yeah.
scary way to live, in reality and in football. Again, a team with a fairly not terrible schedule, 4 against the Bills and Jets, and then 5 against playoff teams from last year. I think losing Jalen Ramsey here for a few months is going to hurt that defense. It's a
Yes.
Vic Fangio-led defense, a guy who was in high demand in the offseason. The Dolphins were able to get him. So their defense is probably going to improve, but what are we going to see here? Because, if he goes down, you got a Carpenter or, a Wizard. You got Carpenter as the backup. I mean, you don't know who the backup quarterback is. So it's the Tua health that scares me. I'm
Yeah.
leaning toward the 9 and 10 is just so difficult. I'm going to go with under 9.5 because I think they just finished with 9 and lose one of those last ones because I really think they're going to lose all 4 to the Bills and the Jets this year.
Okay.
But it is a tough call with this one because if he's healthy, Tyreek Hill was just putting up numbers with Tua. Tua was an MVP candidate when he's on the field.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know why, Katie. I don't see a repeat performance. And you don't just overcome 2 serious concussions like that and come back and
No.
you're an MVP again. If you do, you're Superman. So I
Yeah.
just don't see it. So I'm going to go with the under 9.5 here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the league is just gonna come down really hard, if he were to get another I just don't think that he'd be able to play, but I'm taking a slightly different approach, but I agree with everything that you said. Dolphins went 9-8 last year, but they were 8-1 with Tua, in the first 9 starts before he got his first concussion. So if he is healthy, it is entirely doable that they could get double digits, but it's a gauntlet of a schedule. They have the 4th hardest, schedule in the league, and we're saying that about everyone in this division. I mean, it's just crazy what they have to face. I do think that the defense is going to improve with Vic Fangio. Huge fan, of Vic. Obviously, he was with the 49ers a long time ago. Great, great defensive mind. Not a great head coach, not a great game manager, but certainly, a good defensive coordinator. The Jalen Ramsey thing is really concerning. Now, of course, he says what they all say, right? I'm going to beat it by a month, but we'll see. I mean, it's a knee injury. How long he's actually going to be out? I think that's going to be really hard for them, in their secondary. I'm not going. Well, yeah, I'm not going to take the full win schedule. I'm going to lay off of that, and instead, I'm going to roll the dice on Miami to go over 3.5 wins in their division. That's a plus money. It's at plus 125. Tua is 4-0 against the Patriots. Okay, so that's 2 wins right there. They did lose in January last year, but that was with Bridgewater. I actually think that they can split with the Bills and the Jets again. So that's going to get us those 4 wins at the plus 125. I feel like that's a good roll of the dice. I don't know that they win double digits, but I think they can sweep the Pats and I think they can split, with the other teams in their division. But yeah, I mean, I'm on the same. They could easily lose both of those games to the Bills and the Jets, but I'm just taking the plus 125. I'm taking the value on that.
It's the toughest pick in the division because when they're clicking, they're a Super Bowl contender, which is crazy in this
Yeah,
division. But when something goes wrong, they're toast. So I mean, you saw the record without him was awful. They
yeah,
won one game, and that came against the Jets in the last week, who were playing absolutely no one, and were
no one.
were on a downspin. So without him, they're in trouble. So I get the value, and I get that they could easily get to 10 wins, but I really think they're
Yeah,
going 0-4 against those division teams. Maybe they sweep the Pats and that's it, but I'll
yeah.
say they get 9.
Okay, all right, staying at 9. All right, now for the exciting team, Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. The line is 9.5, juiced to the over at minus 120. That is 4 wins higher than last season's number and the team's highest win total since 2011. Jake, New York has not won 10 games since 2015. However, Aaron Rodgers has had double-digit wins, in 10 of his 15 seasons as a starter. How high are you on the Jets? 7-10 last year. Can they get 10 wins?
I think they should, and if they don't, it's the only way is if Rodgers gets hurt. I just think
Yeah,
yes, they have a tough schedule. Their first half is difficult. The second half gets easier. So if they could develop some chemistry quickly, which it seems like at least training camp off the field they're doing, like you said, Broadway Rodgers, he's out, with different players, with Lazard, with Garrett. Sauce gets him the chain. There's a lot of good things happening off the field, and I think that will be shown on the field. And, he loves Nathaniel Hackett. Hackett, you talk about guys who were bad head coaches, but good coordinators like a
yeah,
Vic Fangio. Hackett's
yeah,
that guy. Not a great head
yeah,
coach, but a terrific coordinator, a guy that Rodgers won 2 back-to-back MVPs with. And listen, the Jets' biggest total for touchdowns at quarterback were Testaverde and Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick on that year you were just talking about, 31, Testaverde 29, and then Joe Namath 26. Aaron Rodgers does that in his sleep. So if he stays on the field with this receiving core, how
Yeah.
does he not get to 10 wins? I like the Jets around 11 wins, so I'm
Mm,
definitely taking over 9.5 at minus 120. I think, their schedule in the first half, can they, be
yeah,
cohesive quickly? And can
yeah,
Brees Hall be 100% quickly? Because if Brees is
right.
clicking, he's already said on the first episode of One Jets Drive, he said, I want to be the best running back in the league for the next 5 to 10 years. He's very confident. He was an explosive playmaker, a big reason the Jets had the big first half they did. And we already know Aaron Rodgers' play action game is one of the best of all time.
Yeah,
So if you have the threat of Brees Hall, if you got Izzy now at a Pitt, the rookie they got, who's got explosiveness in the backfield with the two tight ends, with the receivers, we'll see what they do if they keep Corey Davis. And obviously bringing back that terrific defense and paying the guys that they had to pay, and Quincy and Quinnen, the Williams brothers. The brotherly love's there on defense. You got Sauce Gardner.
yeah,
This has to be at least a 10-win team if healthy. Anything less, I think, is
yeah.
a huge disappointment. So I'm going with the over here.
I like the over too. And it's so interesting because I go on different programs and so many of these top analysts are taking the under on the Jets, taking the under on the Jets. And I'm like, look, maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, all right, which we said on the show last week, or the jungle juice, right? Maybe there's some Everclear in there, but I'm high on this as well. And just looking at that, his connection with Garrett, I think is the most exciting thing, right? Even Davante Adams is like those two have something clicking there, and that one-handed catch that he made the other day
Mhm.
in training camp, like I just think it's going to be amazing. Plus, like yes, maybe he will start off slow, but he has his buddies there from Green Bay, so obviously they know how to work together really well. He's got Nathaniel Hackett; those guys have worked under Nathaniel Hackett as well. The defense, of course, remains a strength under Robert Saleh, one of my favorite coaches. Absolutely love that guy. They did well in the draft by attacking the offensive line. I felt like Joe Tippmann was one of the best centers to come off of the board. And then they also picked up Carter Warren in the first round, which I think was a really good pickup for you guys too. So I'm all in on this. When I saw Aaron Rodgers with the headset, just looking happy and healthy and ready to win. And look, it's not like it hasn't been done before. Tom Brady goes to the Bucks. They win a Super Bowl. Matt Stafford goes to the Rams. They win a Super Bowl. And I believe there's one more that this happened with, but why not us? Why not
Maybe
the Jets?
maybe I'm sipping the jungle juice too. Fun fact, jungle juice is one of the first alcoholic drinks I ever had. I didn't drink it until the
Really?
first day of college. I went to a party and
Yeah,
I had beer, which I wasn't a huge fan of my first drink. And then at jungle juice, I was like, this is like Gatorade.
yeah,
So good job on jungle juice. We're sipping it, but it's real. The hype is real. Everyone wants to say,
yeah,
oh, there's too much hype, too much hype. On paper, this team is stacked. And maybe it's a good sign that Robert Saleh lost his first preseason game ever as Jets head coach, because it didn't go
mm,
great the first 2 years. Just lose a
yeah,
preseason game. That's a good sign. So, yeah, Joe Tippmann was a great pick. That's the thing. The offensive line could determine this Jets season, because Mekhi
yeah,
Becton has been tweeting. He's been talking. He's been posting gym selfies. Mekhi Becton has to be Highway 77, the guy that he was, whether he's on the left side or, against his will on the right side where he doesn't want to play but might have to. Mekhi Becton is, if he has a bad year, he's not going to get paid. This guy's about to have a contract year. He's coming off of multiple years of injuries. He's got to come back with a vengeance. So he's got to use all the hate, all the vitriol, and just knock defenders to the ground and protect this Hall of Fame quarterback. It's the Jets' best quarterback in the history of the franchise. So let's see what he's got. Last year he's coming off arguably his worst year, but a lot of injuries. The key will be this offensive line keeping him upright, because he's already had two scares. He got stepped on the other day, and then yeah,
ooh.
and then OTAs when he's first there, he had the calf injury a little bit. So I want to make him bubble boy. Just put him in a bubble until you play the Bills week 1 Monday night. Roll him around the stadium, roll him to his nice apartment, his nice house, and that's it. Call him bubble boy.
Oh my god, that was a really funny movie, by the way. And back to the Jungle Juice for a second. I think maybe one of the only times that because yes, it's got so much like Crystal Light or something in there that you can't taste what's in it, and so it's got Everclear and God knows what else in there. I think one of the only times I've ever actually blacked out in my life was on the Jungle Juice. So kids, if you're watching this, be careful with the Jungle Juice and make sure that you always have your friends around you because it'll get you.
First day of college, I didn't know what Everclear was. I thought that was a rock
Oh,
band. I had hair back then, so I could maybe
could
shake
be.
my head and some hair is moving. But you tell me first day of college, there's Everclear in it. I'm like, oh, that's a great song. I love it.
Oh my god, that's amazing. All right, well, There's only one more team to talk about, and that is the favorite, the Bills. Their win total is the highest, set at 10.5. That over juiced to -150, coming off of a 13-win season, under +130. Look, we both admitted that we think that this is the Bills' division to lose. Can they get 11 wins?
I don't see how they don't. You look at
Yeah.
their schedule, and it is very difficult, but the Bills playing playoff teams is different than the Jets, Patriots, and Dolphins playing playoff teams because they beat playoff
Mhm.
teams. So they have four of those tough divisional games, like we said, and that's seven other games against playoff teams. So that's 11 difficult games, but this
Yeah.
team is up to the challenge. Like I said, everyone's talking about Cook like he's Barry Sanders, so I expect them to have a
Yeah.
huge year in the backfield. This is a team that's won 10, 13, 11, 13 last 4 years. So anything less than that win total is a disappointment. And if they do, I
Yeah.
think it opens up a window for the Jets to win this division. So again, barring an injury, if this team stays healthy, the Bills should be 12-game winners at the very worst. A bad season for them should be 11 wins.
Yeah.
I'm expecting Josh Allen to take a leap. I expect him to play smarter. The right side of their offensive line is a little bit questionable. Gabe
Mm.
Davis at receivers talking about he's worked harder this offseason than any other offseason in the past. You hope the Stephon Diggs stuff is a thing of the past, water under the bridge. He restructures the contracts and hopes they get a DeAndre Hopkins or they get another receiver. They didn't go out and do that. Well, go out and ball, and
Yeah.
you're one of the best in the league. So show us what you got. Everyone's talking high about Deontay Hardy as well. So they got a lot of talent at receivers. They got Shakur. They got young talent at receivers. And Josh Allen could, what is it, mountains out of a molehill? Is that the saying? He makes a lot
Yes.
out of nothing. And when he runs the ball, he's dangerous. So I like
Yeah.
them to win 12 games. Bad year for them, 11
Mhm.
games.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm taking the over on this one, coming off of a 13-win season, and really, they didn't even have, Josh Allen wasn't 100% healthy, and they didn't have Von Miller for a chunk of the season too, and they were still able to get 13 wins. And you talk about the point differential, 9 of those 13 wins were by 9 points or more, and 3 of those losses were just by a field goal or less. So anything less than 11 would be a disappointment for this team. And again, I think that the pressure is weirdly off the Bills right now because everyone is looking at the Jets, and I think that's going to be helpful to them. We're supposed to have a full season of Josh Allen not having any kind of injuries. They were 6-1 before he kind of got hurt there, and Von Miller hopefully will come back and look really good for them too. So we'll have to see. How that works out. But I agree with you. We are going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're talking AFC East player props with our friend from the New York Post. We'll be back. Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? 2 words, Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the type of benefits only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. Welcome back to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, here with Jake Brown talking AFC East player props. First up, your guy, Aaron Rodgers, passing touchdowns. The line is set to 27.5. Over is juiced to -130, under at even money. You got to take the over here, right?
You have to. 10 of his 13 full seasons, he's done that. I know recently he struggled, but again, he was playing with a thumb injury, he's playing banged up behind a bad offensive line, a Packer team that was arguably one of the worst teams he's played with. Now he's just got too much talent around him. Garrett Wilson would look like a Hall of Famer with Zach Wilson and
Yes.
Mike White. Like, the Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers connection could be
Ugh.
something special for years to come. Well, at least
Yeah.
2 years to come with them two. But Garrett Wilson, a year under his belt, and this kid, a true professional off the field, all the talent of the world. I can't wait to see the play action bombs to Garrett Wilson. He knows Lazard. Now, Lazard, you could argue, got paid a little bit too much, got a big contract, but that chemistry is going to be important. McCole Hardman gives them a different gadget guy who could do it all on offense. I want to see more use of the tight ends. I want to see CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin, two guys that I really like, get the ball more. I felt last year with bad quarterback play, they didn't get all the love they could have. Those two tight ends are going to be huge for him. And then, like I said, Brees Hall in the backfield with Izzy, with Michael Carter, and that offensive line with a healthy Mekhi Becton. There's no reason Aaron Rodgers will not set the Jets'
Yeah.
all-time single-season quarterback touchdown record, which I said was
Ooh.
Ryan Fitzpatrick at 31. So not only am I going to say over 27.5 at -130, that's easy money. I'm going to say he becomes the Jets' single-season touchdown quarterback record. somewhere around. I'll say, I'll be safe. I'll say 33 touchdowns this year.
33 to well, he's certainly done it before. What was the most he's ever had? It was like 40 or 41, right? 1 year? I can't remember. It's
Yep.
up here somewhere. But yeah, I mean, he's gone over this number in 10 to
48.
15,
48
38.
was
Okay,
48
30.
was
Oh,
his
48.
was his
40.
big
Okay, yeah,
year.
so
Yes,
almost
yes.
50. And I agree with you. I think that his connection with Garrett Wilson is special. And again, even Davante Adams is saying that they are cooking up something special there. So I'm really excited about it. He only missed by 2 touchdowns last year, and that was a huge down year for him in terms, of throwing and of what he was able to do with that offense, moving the ball down the field airily. So yes, give me the over all day long, and I will look forward to him getting the Jets all-time record there.
I'll give you a
Now looking at
bold prediction here,
oh,
Katie. Sorry. I
okay.
think before the trade deadline, the Jets will also make a big trade for a big receiver. Davante Adams will be in consideration. There's a reason he restructured that contract and took a lot less money. The Raiders could be an 0-5, 0-6 team, 1-5. They're going to try and trade for Davante Adams. Maybe someone else is, there's always an angry receiver. They're divas. Someone's
Yeah.
going to be angry. The Jets will make a trade for a playmaker, and Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way to either get his buddy Davante Adams or a big one. And then you're looking at Davante and Garrett Wilson. I mean, in Madden and fantasy
Well,
land, I'm looking at
yeah.
a Super Bowl champion. I don't want to go ahead
Yeah.
of myself,
Yeah.
but they will make a big trade. Book it.
If that happens, that will be, yeah, one of the biggest blockbusters. Well, one, poor Jimmy Garoppolo, but two, the Raiders are just going to be so bad this year. We were talking about them yesterday, and I just don't see a lot of wins for that team, and that is a shame for Davante Adams. I mean, especially because he came over there to play with his friend Derek Carr, and then they deal off Derek Carr to the Saints. If Davante Adams comes with the Jets, that's a Super Bowl team. That is a bold take from Jake Brown, but you heard it here first. If it happens to happen, that'll be really exciting. All right, let's look over at Miami and Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, coming off a monster year, I believe over 17,000 receiving yards. His line right now is set to, I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers here, 1,250 and a half, both priced at 115 to the over and the under. This is still pretty high. What do you think?
I got to go over. Listen, Tyreek Hill had 17-10 last year, and that's 12,
Yeah,
12 games with Tua. I mean, there's no reason he doesn't hit that over. He's done it 3 out of 4 years that he's played in the full season. And a couple of those were in less than 17
yeah,
games. He's done it in 16 games. He's done that in 15 games. So Tyreek Hill is a guy that should be able to hit that pretty much with ease, assuming Tua is on the field. Again, we're always have to assume health here. And if he's on the field, if Carpenter's the guy or whoever the backup ends up being the guy, because they lost Teddy as well last year to injuries, that will change things.
yeah,
But if he did that
yeah.
with 3/4 of the season with his starter, a full season with him, I don't see how he doesn't hit at least 1,500 again. So again, barring injury, I would be shocked
Mhm.
if Tyreek Hill doesn't hit that over 1250 here.
See, this one is hard for me. I actually lean under on this one, and I agree with everything that you just said. I mean, again, he had 17,000 last year, and he's hit it in pretty much every year that he has been healthy, or at least right around that mark. But he played in every single game last year. He was fully healthy for the entire season. And I don't wish injury on anyone, but how often do players stay healthy for an entire season in back-to-back years? And Tyreek has been one of the most healthiest players, of all of the NFL. He's barely missed any games, but he had a little bit of injury in mini camp this year. And so I don't know. He said he's going to be the first player to reach 2,000 yards. He's going to do it this season. So he could very well do that, and this could blow up in my face. But this is still a very high number for him. I think it might be slightly inflated. I think you might see a little bit of regression, which we've never seen regression from him. So again, I could end up with egg on my face, but I'm going to lean under on this one. Looking at the Patriots and Mac Jones, we kind of hit on this earlier. We don't really see a lot going on with Mac Jones. His regular season touchdown passes 19 and a half. The over is actually juiced to minus 125, under minus 105. What do you think for Mac Jones?
I'm going to go under here. I think he was terrible last season with 14. Who knows if he's the starter all year? A lot of question marks. A Patriots team that loves to run the football, that I think when they get in the red zone, they're going to run a lot more than trust him in the pass. He makes a lot of bad decisions, a lot of overthrows, a lot of misreads. So it's hard for me to even know that Mac Jones is a starter all year because who knows with Bill Belichick? He could have a bad week one and he goes to Bailey Zappi. So it could be Zappy hour
True.
pretty quickly. You want to talk about jungle juice?
Happy
Uh,
hour.
Mac
I
Jones
love
might be
that.
sipping on that jungle juice on the sidelines when
That
he's
zappy
benched,
juice.
sipping on that Zappy juice pretty quickly. So while I don't love this number because he could hit the
Yeah,
over, but I love the under here, so I'll take the
yeah.
under.
I agree with you. I have almost no faith. I have a lot of faith in the Patriots defense. I know that they'll come out and be strong, but I don't have any faith here either. And look, seems like Patriots fans like Zappy more, anyways. I mean, you could see the difference in the cheers when Zappy was out there versus Mac Jones, and I think a lot of that has to do with where Mac Jones was drafted, and maybe a lot of Patriots fan didn't want them to take Mac Jones. But yeah, he doesn't seem very well liked in New England, and there was some chatter even this offseason that he was kind of working with different quarterback coaches, which Bill Belichick wasn't exactly happy about. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Mac Jones doesn't see an entire season. So I'll lean under this one with you. Now let's look at Josh Allen, and you kind of alluded to this already. His line for rushing touchdowns is set to 6.5. Both priced that over and under at -115. I believe he had what, 7 last year? I mean, he's gone over this number in most of the seasons. There's a lot of talk that maybe they're going to have him be passing more. They don't want him to be using his body that much. But when this guy is near the goal line, he's taking it in. So I like this over. What do you think?
Yeah, of all these props outside of Rodgers, I think this one's my favorite for the over, Katie. I think he's done it 4 of 5 seasons so far in the NFL. The only one he didn't was 6, and you could tell him run less all you want. He's going to run at some point. If he has an opening, he's going to run the football. I think losing Singletary makes it even more of a fact he's going to run the ball. I'd be shocked if he doesn't reach 8. I feel like he could reach 7 by week 7. If he has one every week,
Yeah.
he could reach that in the first half of
Yes.
the season. So it almost feels too good. This number feels too low for me, which makes you think maybe it will be the under. But I'm just going to go with the chalk here because he does it almost every
Yeah.
single season. The only year, like I
Yeah.
said, was 6. So I'd be shocked if he doesn't get that with plenty of room to clear. There's a shot he could hit double digits rushing touchdowns. I mean, I love rushing
He's such a
quarterbacks. Maybe it's the
Yeah.
Madden in me. So I love when he runs with the
Yeah.
football, except when it's against the Jets. But I love when he
Yeah.
runs the ball. So I think he's going to get maybe 9 or 10 this year.
I agree. I mean, maybe on his yards, I would look under because I don't. They're going to try not to drop that many plays where he's running. Right, you want to keep him protected, but certainly around the goal line, he's such a big body too that it's just so hard to take him down. So I agree. I mean, I think this is 8 minimum for him this year. Jake, thank you so much for joining us today. It's so much fun talking to you. Tell the people where to find you because you got the amazing but true. You got the gangs all here. You're on New York Post. Tell us everything.
I need a vacation. Yeah, amazing but true. It's twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. So the rest of the year, we'll pretty much be doing a lot of guests because I don't want to talk about the Mets losing twice a week. It's bad for my mental health. So we'll be doing a lot of cool guests on Amazing but True. Gang's all here. I do with Brian Costello, our Jets podcast on the New York Post, wherever you get podcasts, and on their New York Post Sports YouTube. We'll 2 episodes a week. We'll have some training camp episodes. We're doing a show Wednesday recapping Hard Knocks. Excited to watch the first episode of Hard Knocks.
Yes.
We'll have some live shows, a lot of really cool guests, current players, former players. So looking forward to that. And, if you're a Giants fan, I also am part of the Blue Rush podcast, the Giants podcast with the New York Post. So you could check that as well. And then if you like hockey, when Ranger season comes up in the Blue Sea. So we got
Hey.
it all covered here in New York City. And I'm sure you'll see me out at a stadium. And if I'm drinking,
Chicken
just
farm.
know that the team's poor play is the reason I'm doing it.
Yes, and you did turn me on to the chicken parm sandwiches over there at City Field, which were excellent. And you can also follow him on Twitter at Jake Brown Radio. Jake, thank you for bringing the jungle shirt to our Jungle Juice podcast here. I really appreciate that.
Looking forward to sipping jungle juice at a local bar near you one day. Katie, thanks so much for having me.
This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social at Moxie Bets, and we'll see you next time.